President Trump says Sarah Beckstrom, the young woman serving in the National Guard who was shot Wednesday, has died. Another young soldier was also shot. He is in critical condition and is 24 years old. We're learning the alleged shooter was evacuated to the U.S. from Afghanistan in 2021. He was granted asylum this past April, and he had worked with the CIA as part of an elite Afghan counterterrorism unit. He would have been vetted for that role. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, is calling out our vetting system.
If you saw the chaos that was going on at that airport in Kabul, in Afghanistan, it was typical of what was going on in the Biden administration. People in the Biden administration said the Afghan withdrawal that we all know was disastrous was a success. And that's a quote. They called that a success. That chaos is not a success. That is a nightmare. So let's stop namby-pambing around with this, oh, he was vetted. There was no vetted. The welcome mat was thrown down. They even admitted that they short-circuited the vetting. What they did was they brought in 90,000 people into this country that were not vetted.
90,000 people. Dan Hoffman joins me now. Dan, I mean, one Biden official is quoted as saying, err on the side of excess. Pack the planes, get them out. These are Afghans. These are our allies. I mean, we couldn't vet all of them.
Well, I would say first, in regarding the individual who shot our brave, courageous National Guard Army officers, he was vetted, I'm quite sure, when he was working with the CIA years and years ago. But one of the things we always believed at CIA is that if we vetted someone 6 months ago, then that vetting might have been good then, but it doesn't mean it's good today. And so the questions that remain are what motivated the shooter? Was he radicalized online? Was he doing the bidding of ISIS or Al-Qaeda? There are lots of unanswered questions there. I also think it's time for the Trump administration, past time, to do a zero-based review of whatever vetting was done or not done for the Afghans, the tens of thousands of them who came to the United States. I wouldn't hold all of them responsible for this vicious act of one lone wolf shooter, but it's still, from a policy perspective, an important step to take.
But would you vet them more, the other Afghan people who came here?
Well, I think the administration needs to do a zero-based review to determine how, when they were vetted, and determine whether additional vetting is required. I think that's something that they may be looking at.
Yeah, and what has gone on since they've come here? Were they radicalized in the United States? I'm not asking you to guess as to what the suspected shooter's motive was, but with your experience, what are some possibilities for the motive here?
I mean, the possibilities are endless, frankly. It's certainly what we need to be. If I were at CIA, what I'd be worried about is that he had been radicalized online, that he was in touch even with ISIS operatives or Al-Qaeda operatives who were encouraging him to do this. Or perhaps he was radicalized online without having direct contact with terrorists overseas. But those are the key questions we need to answer. Is this part of a network? And if so, we need to find where that network leads us and ensure that further attacks don't take place. So I think there's just a lot of work yet to be done.
Next one, Dan. Russia's Vladimir Putin says he is ready for, quote, serious peace talks with Ukraine. He says the draft of the plan by the U.S. and Ukraine could form the basis of a future deal that could end this war. Do you believe Putin this time?
No, and I didn't believe him last time or the time before that either. Look, I spent decades at CIA trying to see the world through the twisted KGB eyes of Vladimir Putin, and we have CIA leadership analysts who are doing that right now, supporting Director Ratcliffe and the Trump administration so that we can better understand Putin's plans and intentions. When I was at CIA, we used to talk about something called historical placement. What were the formative experiences for a leader like Vladimir Putin? For him, when he was serving in the KGB, the Soviet Union collapsed, Soviet troops withdrew from Afghanistan. I think Putin is very concerned about striking a deal with the Ukrainian leader, Zelensky, whom Putin vowed to topple. and hasn't done so yet. This war, if you listen to General Jack Keane, Institute for Study of War, it's been a total failure for Putin. His army has made very slow, minuscule, incremental gains at a cost of 1 million casualties. And so everything Putin says, it's propaganda designed to influence, not inform.
1 million casualties. Dan, the Wall Street Journal says that after speaking with China's Xi Jinping, President Trump told Japan not to poke the bear and that they should lower the volume on Taiwan. Taiwan has always been a controversial topic. What happens now with Taiwan? I'm just thinking President Trump needs the Chinese to buy our soybeans, for instance, and they have to message diplomacy to Japan. What happens to Taiwan in these times?
Well, I think it's important to see the world through the eyes of Xi Jinping in this case, and what he wants to do is intertwine our diplomatic relationships with his preeminent foreign policy goal, which is to illegally annex and take over Taiwan. And he'd like to do it without using force, but I think he's prepared someday to use force if necessary. Japan, concerned already about China militarizing the South China Sea, is rightly concerned about China's interest in attacking Taiwan and was speaking up about it. I don't think it's our place to tell the Japanese government what to say or what not to say. And I think we need to be careful going forward not to allow China to seek gains in commercial negotiations by giving up strategic areas of interest to our country.
Dan Hoffman, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.